Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Temple Time. My name is Courtney Tiffany. Each week we dive into our goddess, her myth, her stories, her symbolism. And this week we are continuing our discussion with Lakshmi. And I really wanted to take a moment to kind of just talk about her story, her myth. We know that she is the Hindu goddess of wealth, health, prosperity, luxury, beauty, joy, happiness, all of the wonderful things. But where did that come from, right? Where did that story kind of originate? And to understand that, we're going to be talking about one of the Hindu myths called the churning of the ocean, or the churning of the Milky Ocean, or the ocean of milk. And this was back when a time when the gods were constantly fighting with the demons, and they were both in pursuit of immortality. As the gods were fighting demons, a lot of them had died, and the gods were unable to bring their friends back. And Lakshmi, her presence had kind of ensured their success thus far, but they hadn't quite won the battle. Indra was the warrior god, the king of gods, and he was responsible for protecting the world against demons. And he was a little bit cocky. And one day a wise sage came and presented him with a sacred garland of flowers representing prosperity and success. And Indra essentially just cast it aside, said, I don't need this. Why are you bringing me flowers? Um, and Lakshmi saw this and was appalled, right? She had blessed them, and you know him throwing the sacred garland aside angered Lakshmi. So what she did is she returned to the ocean, the ocean of milk, and left the world, essentially left the other gods to fight the demons. And being the goddess of prosperity and abundance, I mean, this she was no longer, the gods were no longer favored. So the demons started to kind of gain control, greed, corruption, um, and the gods and demons continued to fight, and the days got darker. And people just kind of became, I don't want to say evil, but darker, right? Without Lakshmi's light, I mean, nobody was, praising the gods anymore. When Lakshmi wasn't around, nobody was leaving offerings. Nobody was really worried about them. So Indra went to Vinishu, one of the other gods, and said, what do we do? How are we going to win this fight? And Vinishu said, you have to churn the ocean. The ocean was a container, this like mystical container, and it had a ton of gifts, right? It contained the elixir of life. It contained this potion of immortality, and it was also where Lakshmi was residing. It's where she went, when she noticed that the gods didn't need her help or her favor anymore. So they started to churn the ocean. And it took the gods 1,000 years until anything became of it. And a lot of interpretations of this myth were basically, it took them 1,000 years to do this out of selflessness, do this for the good of the earth, essentially, because the gods themselves have become greedy, because they wanted to succeed. Obviously, right? We all want to succeed, but they were doing it for the wrong reasons, essentially. So after 1,000 years, they're constantly churning the Milky Ocean, and up pops Lakshmi, sitting on her lotus flower with the elixir of life, with the gift of immortality. And this is how the gods became immortal. This is how they lived on forever. Through this act of devotion, essentially. this never-ending churning of the ocean. And I love that they call it the Milky Ocean or the ocean of milk. Milk is extremely symbolic in that it's life-giving, right? Even in the Egyptians, the Hindus, Celtic mythologies, milk is the substance of life. Milk is what we, feed our children as soon as they're born. Milk is what all of, you know, calves, every small creature essentially needs its mother's milk in order to survive and grow and become stronger and become independent, right? And to live and prosper on their own. So I love this symbolism of the Milky Ocean, right? The essentially essence of life. And after Lakshmi was reborn, they were able to fight off the demons, and once they were defeated, life was prosperous again. And it just goes to show you, because I feel Lakshmi, yes, she's the goddess of abundance and prosperity and health and wealth, but she reminds us, I think the biggest lesson that I've learned with Lakshmi is that you have to be grateful, right, for all that you have. And when you express that gratitude, right, and you're aware of all of the success you've already achieved, all of the abundance you've already manifested, right, all of the prosperity that you have already accumulated, then she'll give you more, right? She blesses those who are grateful. And when Indra casts aside that garland, she's like, you know what? You think you don't need my help anymore. You're not going to be grateful for what's being given to you, the gifts you're receiving, then I'm going to step aside. See how you fare without me. Really teaches the gods this powerful lesson, right, of gratitude, essentially, and then really makes them work for it for 1,000 years. So I know times can be hard. I know, life is not a walk. I mean, it's not always easy. But just take a moment and just, I urge you to write down just 10 things that you're grateful for, 10 things that you can express gratitude for, just to remind yourself, right, of all of the blessings that you already have. I think expressing gratitude is one of the best and quickest ways to manifest anything else that you want in life. And Lakshmi certainly teaches and reminds us that. To be grateful, to have gratitude, to appreciate your loved ones in your life, hold them close, and your surroundings and everything that you filled your home with, and all the friends that you have in life, people reaching out to you, the job that supplies you with money so you can buy the things. I mean, it's all those little things, right? The delicious food that you get to eat. There's just so many things to be grateful for. And I know after our new moon ceremony last week, we're really just setting our intentions and visualizing big picture, big dreams, right? Holding the vision of the highest possible good. And in order to achieve that, we have to be thankful for everything that we already have, right? So I think that's where I want to leave that today. That's one of the biggest lessons, is just expressing gratitude in order to receive more, right? Opening up our heart chakras to receive, to be generous, to be kind, to be giving ourselves, right? If we're willing to give back to others, right? We also have to give in order to receive, kind of thing, right? We have to be grateful in order to receive more. So there's always kind of this give and take, and this beauty and this rhythm, this pulse to it, right? So that is just our little lesson for this week, something to think about as you go about your week. And I will see you next week for another episode of Temple Time.